holidays, it's Romania Black, and I'm Maki just in time for Christmas and New Year's. Or just in time for the holiday season if you're not someone that celebrates Christmas. But yeah, so got this wig. It is the most tedious thing. It's not going to be as tedious as next week's, I can tell you right now. But I did have to cut my own bangs for this one. The bangs were like down to here. I'm like, how can anybody wear this? So yes, I'm channeling maybe Maki's alive. We're just going to go with Maki being alive. Why not? Why don't we go with that for the holiday season? Why not? A Christmas miracle. I know that Gege needs to deliver a lot of Christmas miracles for this series because things are looking pretty dour. So yes, we're on episode 22 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Just so you know, it's the penultimate episode. Next week's the last episode of the season. No big deal. Nothing crazy is probably going to happen, I'm sure. I'm utterly terrified, but what else should we be expecting at this point? So I have some comments that I want to talk about before we dive into this episode, but yes, I'm pretty excited about what's going to go down, so let's find out about that, shall we? User V95, I liked their comment about the approach to death and how Yuji seeks a proper death for everyone. He thinks everyone needs a proper death. They need to die a certain way. Yuji has accepted we're all going to die, but it needs to be a proper death. I love how that contrasts with Geto, who believes we should all have a proper life, which is nice, a nice little contrast there, especially how we've talked about Yuji and Geto. Seemingly they would have gotten along in another life, but now Yuji gets to meet Geto, but it's not Geto, it's Brain Coon. So here we go. And then Todo rejects death as a final end for all. So I think that's really interesting. You have Yuji who thinks that everybody's going to die, Todo who thinks we're not going to die, Geto who thinks we should all live. Where does that, User V was asking, where does that position Gojo in all of this? And what does Gojo and Brain Coon think? That's a really good question. I mean, if you were doing Yuji seeking a proper death and Todo believing there's not a death, and Geto believing everyone should have a proper life, does Gojo believe that no one can have a life? I mean, that would by, comparison make sense, but I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see if Gojo makes it out of the prison realm, if there's an answer to that question, especially if Gojo sees what's been going on while he's been gone. That might be interesting. And Alessi Kali talked about how, I didn't notice this in the episode last week, but Yuji's hairline was very similar to Sukuna's, even though Sukuna wasn't there. And then Gege apparently mentioned in an interview or something, I'm really excited to eventually read the manga and get to the point where maybe Gege talks about this, but that it was really close in this battle, and if Todo hadn't stepped in to help Yuji get that final Black Flash, he would have lost. So, fun stuff, right? Pineapple 541 talked about how it's not just killing Mahito, but anything that represents Mahito that Yuji's decided on, which really makes me sad. I'm so sad that our sweet summer boy has now gotten to the point where he's like, fine, this is my role. I'm supposed to kill curses. Then fine, that's what I'll do, since that's what you want me to do. I was trying to do it differently. I was trying to go this other route, but since you insist, and it's just like, no, Yuji, our sweet summer boy. But yeah, it's just basically Yuji being like, yes, I will kill curses now because apparently that's my job until I die. And it's like, oh my God, this kid needs a hug and some therapy. Since he's accepted his role, he can't do anything else. It's really sad. Adam, with 2 Ds, talked about on YouTube that they were making this really good point. And I was like, yeah, Kamo is a semi-first grade sorcerer. So he and like Urahime could have, and Mei could have at least gone there and stopped some of the transfigured humans. So it does kind of suck that Kamo and the others were kind of like just put to the side by Mekamaru. Although Mekamaru was trying to save his friends. So there's that. Also, they were talking about how Kamo gets a lot of hatred in the fandom because they targeted Yuji. I feel really indifferent about Kamo. I find Kamo's family lineage fascinating because there's a tie to Choso, but I don't really think anything about Kamo. I don't really have an opinion about him as a character. He's fine. In the words of Columbia and Rocky Horror, he's okay! But what I think is interesting from Gege's point of view as a writer is we didn't want Kamo there because there's ties to Choso in the bloodlines. So I feel like Gege was like, oh, I can't have Kamo there because there could be some stuff with Choso brought up and we don't need that. So we're going to avoid that. He didn't want Mei there because all this stuff with Maki's happening, and Nobito didn't want her there to interrupt that. So that narratively makes sense. And so then it makes sense that, you know, Momo and Urahime, we need somebody there with Miwa so she's not by herself when she has her breakdown. So we might as well just include Mei and Kamo there as well. And then I just like the idea that Mecha was just like, I don't want Todo to stick around and end up with Miwa, so let's just put him there at Shibuya and hopefully he's crazy enough he'll live. I just love the idea we talked about in the Discord of Mechamaru's like agenda against Todo. That he's afraid Toto's going to swoop in and steal Miwa. I just love that idea that Mechamaru was like, maybe he'll live. If not, oh well. I hope Todo lives as well, but at this point, I have no clue, especially with Brain-kun there. No idea. And Uraume, who knows where they are? Like, what's even happening? Right? Because we don't know about Mei Mei or anything else, so it's pretty terrifying. I like the idea Seppi brought up of season 1 versus now in the last episode. Seppi brought up that in season 1, Yuji had a saliva drop from his mouth before he did his first black flash, and they interpreted it as his hunger for vengeance after Junpei's death. Makes sense. And then now, in this last couple of episodes, we see Yuji shedding a tear before the black flash, showing, as Seppi says, to demonstrate his resolve to live despite all the suffering that he's been through and will likely go through in the future. And I like the idea that Seppi points out that Yuji isn't fighting Mahito for revenge because Nanami wouldn't like that. Nanami kind of told him, don't fight for revenge. It doesn't end well. But rather, he's fighting Mahito because that's his job. He's just accepted, I'm not doing this for revenge or my own personal means. You're just a curse and you need to go. And it's like, oof. Oof, indeed, right? Also, they pointed out that the balls of light in the train, as Miwa was looking out the window, could signify all of the souls that have died in Shibuya. Now, I don't know about that because they're in a train that's very far away from Shibuya, so I'm not sure if that, you know, kind of works out, but I do like the symbolic significance of it, so I think that's pretty neat. And then Anime Annie talked about how Nobara has a Japanese character for Wild Rose in her name, so the whole rose tattoo thing makes sense. I think they were just trying to make me feel better about being confused about her abilities. And then Mahito, storing the transfigured humans inside of him, was similar to how Toji was storing all of his weapons inside the worm, which that made my mind go to some very weird places. I was thinking, like, could you imagine, like, Mahito wrapping himself around Toji and then just throwing up weapons, and Toji's like, this is awkward, I prefer the worm, and like, get off. Do it, fan artists. Get it out there, right? Also, I liked Anime Annie's idea that Mahito's ankle was twisted because it's a representation of his soul being so shaken and twisted out of fear from being chased by Yuji that it twists because that's where the state of his soul is at that moment. I love that idea. I think that's so cool. And then finally, last episode I was like, oh, well, Inumaki can just get Yuji up to speed about Yuta. That should be fine. And then Anime Annie's like, well, Yuta can only... or Inumaki can only speak through like single words like bonita flakes and salmon. And I was like, oh yeah. So I need a Juju stroll now of like Inumaki trying to like update Yuji about Yuta. And he's just like, bonita flakes, salmon, roe, leaves. and Yuji's like, I need a translator. And Panda's like, I'm over here. So yeah, that's where we're at. But those were all really, really good comments. I really appreciate it. I swear my dogs have been quiet until 5 seconds ago when I started this, and now here we are. But I honestly, no clue. No clue what we're getting at this episode. Ghetto, aka Brain-kun, has shown up to seemingly rescue Mahito. Now, whether he's going to end up rescuing him or not, is Mahito going to live to fight another day? Is he going to make it out of Shibuya alive? Or is Brain-kun going to be like, nah, I think that we're going to be good. I think we're fine. I don't know. And I don't know where my dog's toy is. Oh, there it is. Doesn't matter though. But yes, I'm really excited, y'all. I'm terrified because it's the penultimate episode and we only have 1 week left after this. So, But in any case, I hope y'all are excited. I definitely am. I'm going to get this wig. I'm terrified this wig is going to fall off because it's one of those like ponytail clips that clips onto a ponytail. So it's not the sturdiest. But we're going to start this episode and just see what we get, shall we? So we're going to examine episode 46, episode 22 of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. What could happen? We'll find out. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So this is Huckleberry and Ruby's Santa Claus toy. It's about 3 years old and it's been like nearly ripped in half and is really disgusting and terrifying. But Merry Christmas, Mother Truckers! That's all I can think of. This is like the best Christmas gift. It's just like, do you want all of the twists? Do you want all of the turns? Do you want Choso to make an appearance? Do you want things to be kind of revealed, but there's still mystery? Do you want fucking Yuki to show up? I do! Yes! I need to calm down. Talk about this episode. I need to calm the frick down, but it's really hard because after all this dour and depression, we finally get some like frickin', I say we finally get some action. We've had action this entire time. But you know, this feels like Shonen in the best way. Like nothing cliche, nothing crazy. It's just like everybody showing up in the penultimate episode, everybody arriving to do the damn thing, and you all know it's gonna end crazy. So yeah, everybody that can show up is here. And we have a lot going on in this episode, so I don't know how long this is going to take to go through it all, but there's a lot to talk about. We have one episode left next week, so I'm going to savor it as much as I damn can, because next week's the last episode. Oh my god. Yuji has such a great found family, right? He has Todo, his brother. He has Choso, his big brother. I knew I liked Choso from the beginning because his design is amazing, and there's just something about Choso that you just instantly kind of gravitate towards, but now I freaking love him. I want more Choso. I want all Choso. Give me Yuji and Choso adventures. I need this in my life. So, okay. I do like that before the insanity, before things get too crazy, they do give us like a little bit of here's how Shibuya is. Everything sucks and is destroyed. There's a lot of collateral damage, a lot of people dead. We're going to build up to this, but yeah. So, and then we have, it's nearly midnight, right? We've got like 30 minutes until midnight. Don't know if you've all been keeping track, but there's 30 minutes till midnight. It's not a big deal. Nothing crazy's happening, just whatever. My thing is the veil set on a timer where it's going to go off at midnight? Is the veil set to where it's going to go off at midnight and then everyone on the outside is going to see Shibuya and they're going to have a mass panic, and that's why Mei's like, sell, 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 get all the stocks out while I can get my money and run. We're going to talk about Mei Mei and that scene. But I feel like she's like, okay, let's sell everything now because once midnight strikes, we are screwed and there will be no money left to be had. Everything's going to go downhill real quickly. So let's just get this out of the way. I feel like that's what's about to go down and Mei Mei is trying to like prep for it. But I won't be surprised if the veil's on like a timer, and that's why Geto is now choosing the moment to leave. It seemed like Mei Mei and her brother using his technique were able to get out of there in time, but we'll see about that. First we gotta talk about Panda. Panda being in like his buffed out mode makes sense because that would help keep him safe. But I like how he just finds Kusakabe. This episode was like, we've had all this doom and gloom and despair, and it's still very gloomy, but God, Gege is like, Gege and Isayama have some of the weird, and Fujimoto, who does Chainsaw Man, have some of the weirdest sense of humor. Like Horikoshi, who does My Hero Academia, they're all friends. Horikoshi and Akutami and Fujimoto, they're all friends. And I feel like Horikoshi has the most like traditional sense of humor in My Hero Academia. It's cutesy and funny. Fujimoto and Gege's sense of humor are pretty, I'd say Gege is a little bit closer to Horikoshi. It's off the wall, but it's kind of like mainstream. Fujimoto and Isayama's humor is bizarre and dark and morbid. I'm like, what? But you can tell Akutami gets a little bit from Fujimoto. But Kusakabe just being like, it makes sense for this character to be hiding under the rock. And he's like, found you. We'll say, though, the white shirt on Kusakabe, just the white shirt, it's doing some things. And maybe it's because Nanami's freaking dead and I have nothing else to live for. But Kusakabe, all right, sure. He's no Gojo. He's no Nanami. He's no Geto before he was inhabited by a brain. What can we do, right? We gotta live with this. I do like Kusakabe's giving off a little bit of dad energy. Good for him. But he's like the soccer dad that volunteered to take the kids to the movie rather than go shopping with them energy than anything else. And he's like, this is different from what I heard about Yuji Itadori. And I like that Panda's instantly like, that was Sukuna. We're setting up some stuff here, right? So here's our issue with Yuji, right? And I'm going to use our lovely Christmas colors for Yuji and everything else happening. I like the idea that Panda is able, seemingly, to tell who or what is, and I'm going to put in quotation marks, inside. He was able to do that with Sukuna, and he's also able to do that with Brain Coon. And I know we got a little hint about Brain Coon, but I'm not going to wig hair in my mouth. I'm going to keep calling him Brain Coon because he said he's had many names, so we don't even know if the Norikoshi thing is his real name, so we're just going to keep calling him Brain Coon. That seems fine. But Panda is like, no, that wasn't Yuji, that was Sukuna doing all of this. But then here's our problem. Kusakabe outlines that he's like, yeah, but Yuji is supposed to have him under control. And the thing about it is that Panda, I'm sure it's going to come out in the wash at some point. Yuji doesn't know how to explain that he was force-fed all these fingers at once and it allowed Sukuna to override him for a moment. But as far as Kusakabe knows, that's not the case. Why was he able to control him? Yuji should have had control, even if it was Sukuna. And I'm sure that Kusakabe is like, did they make a pact? Is something going on? And he's like, that's the current story, right? And so he's like, look, here's the deal. The higher-ups are going to kill him. He's like, I'm going to tell you this right now, Panda. No matter what judgment gets doled out to Itadori later, now that Gojo is gone. Kusakabe making sure that Panda knows Gojo being there was the only thing keeping the higher-ups from killing Yuji. Gojo threatening them was the only thing keeping them from threatening Yuji. And now that's gone. So he's like, now that Gojo's gone, he's like, I'm not taking your side. And it's like, and Panda's just like, why are we having this conversation? He's like, I'm in favor of his execution. Yeah, because he's saying we should execute Yuji. Because I think he knows that Panda is going to be about saving Yuji. And I think that Megumi will end up on the same side as Panda. Now, the question is, who else will end up on the same side as Panda and Megumi? Will Maki? If Maki's alive? Maybe. We've not seen Maki. I hope so. Otherwise, R.I.P. I hope this is the last time y'all saw her. But I think Maki's gonna live. I just don't know. The fact that we've not seen her or Naobito, I don't know. I'm still like torn about Naobito, but I think maybe Maki will live. I don't know. But, I mean, those three might be on Yuji's side. Todo's gonna be on his side because Todo just fought with him. Todo's like, no, I just fought with my best friendo. He's probably fine. The question is gonna be about the members of the school, like Momo and Kamo, the other school, and Mei. Are they going to side and say Yuji's fine or not? They seem like they're on Yuji's side right now. The big question next episode is going to be, is Yuji going to go with them? Or is Choso going to grab Yuji and run away? Is Yuji going to go with Choso? Is Yuji going to go seek Choso out later? There's a lot of things that could happen. Will Yuji go with the sorcerers, and then once he figures out they're going to kill him, is he going to run away to go find Choso again and be like, hey, older brother? It would be amazing if this season ended next episode with Yuji going off to find Choso, and then I just see it like a dark alleyway, and there's Choso standing there, and then you just like, Onisan, Tell me what's up. I would die. I'd be like, I would just melt into the floor, and that would be a puddle of me, and that'd be it, and we wouldn't even have a discussion. If Yuji comes next episode, if he ends up going off to find Choso, and then he's like, okay, brother, okay, Oni-san, tell me what you know. That's all I need. That's all I need, because I want Yuji and Choso to have adventures now. I want this to happen. I need this to happen. Gege, you've taken so much from me. Give me this, damn it! But no. So yeah, he's like, this is how it's going to go. Kusakabe's like, I'm not going to side with Yuji. We need to get rid of him because, and you can't blame Kusakabe for thinking like he is, because he's seeing all of the damage here. He's seeing what just went down, and he's like, this is bad. The world is going to need some kind of scapegoat. The Jujutsu Sorcerer Society are going to have to do something. And he's like, if this happens again, it's not going to be good. So we've got to get rid of Yuji now, because there's just no other option. Meanwhile, there's this thing with Mei Mei. Okay, so an hour earlier. Okay, in Malaysia. What? That did not dawn on me that it was in freaking Malaysia. Is she going to make a memorial for Nanami? Is she living out Nanami's fantasy? Did she take his ashes and scatter them in Malaysia? Mei Mei, did you admit? Is my crack ship of Nanami and Mei Mei a thing? Have they gone to Malaysia together before and we just didn't know about it? What is happening? So yeah, Mei Mei. Let's talk about Mei Mei. Mei Mei and Ui Ui, they are already in freaking Malaysia. An hour earlier in 2236. How the frick does that work? Because this was like 30 minutes till midnight. I want to know if we're going to get a timestamp for when we get back to Yuji and them. Because we know Kusakabe and them show up, so it's almost midnight when they show up. But this was an hour earlier. The fudge? What? Excuse me? But yeah, in Malaysia. And she's there at this luxurious hotel. What? You know what? I'll let Mei Mei have it. Mei Mei can get it. I'm not even attracted to women, and I'm like, if Mei Mei wanted to do whatever, I'd just let her. I'd be like, fine, you know, I'm not here for it, but you're so hot. I'm secure enough in my sexuality to say that Mei Mei is like, she has taken on the mantle of like the hottest character in Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe outside of Yuki and possibly Choso. But yeah, I don't understand where she's like, oh, sorry about that. And then she's like, you must be worn out, Ui Ui. And he's just sitting there. He's like, what the frick is her relationship with this boy? Is he her brother? Is it just their relationship? Are they just weird? I think they're just weird. I think there's just this like pseudo-incestual thing that's just really bizarre. And I can't explain it. I like how Gege's like, look, I'm going to make her really hot, but then you're going to be kind of weirded out. That's the Jujutsu Kaisen aesthetic. You're going to be turned on and then slightly creeped out. Yeah, and he's like, oh, that's so improper. And she's like, okay. And she's like, well, do you hate me when I'm improper? I'm like, what is happening? And then she instantly gets out of bed to answer the phone. Who called? I want to see who called. Are they going to give us that? She goes to touch his forehead, and then there's a number. And he's like, no way. Are they going to give us a name or number? Is there something in Japanese we can translate? I want to see what this is. Okay. Well, there's a name and a number, but there's no translation. All right. Those of you that can translate, what did the phone say? Who is she talking to? And she's like, I got to call back. Now, is the call back from somebody that she was drinking with earlier? What is happening? She's like, it's morning where you are. So is she, they're in a different time zone now. So how did she get to Malaysia so fast? The fudge. Did she become a crow and like instantly transport? And she's like, me. And she's like, I'm in KL. And then she's like, oh, it was with Ui Ui's technique. So Ui Ui is able to not only use a simple domain, weirdly enough, but he also has a technique that lets them teleport? Is that a thing? Can he become a bird? What is happening? Wow. I want to find out eventually. I'm sure we will find out eventually, but I'm like, Ui can not only do the simple domain, but he can transport her to like a place like 12 hours away instantly. Excuse me? I feel like it's that he's her like safe fall in case if she gets in a life or death situation. And then she's like, we nearly got ourselves killed. Yeah, so they basically barely made it out before Geto was able to kill them. Now, there are two glasses there. There's a glass of wine, a glass of Merlot that's barely drank, and then there's like a malt beverage and a champagne glass. Like, did you pour the malt beverage into the champagne glass? I'm assuming. And she says you should sell off any stocks in Tokyo and all your real estate in Tokyo. So she's telling her investors or whoever she's talking to on the phone to sell in Japan because things are about to get real crazy. I mean, she's like, I've already exchanged all my yen. Oh my God. Girl, Mei Mei is not messing around. She's like, if the going gets... I like that Mei Mei's main motivation is just money. Girl just wants to keep her maybe brother beside her and live a life of luxury, and that's really what she's doing. It's kind of funny. I like crack shipping her with Nanami because Nanami was like, had the salaryman's job and he hated it, so he became a jujutsu sorcerer again. And I think Mei Mei is a jujutsu sorcerer, but she really just wants to be rich. So it's kind of like they both like different things. And she's watching the stock market. Why are we surprised? And she's like, do it right away. Okay. I doubt any of the major developed nations will be spared from the negative effects from all this. And Japan's the number 3 economy despite all else. I like that it was kind of like, my sister's doing her business on the phone. She doesn't want to hang out with me right now. What the fudge? And she's leaving her arrangements to someone. Who? Here's the thing. She's like, it's fine. You don't need to thank me. Just keep me on the inside as usual. So she wants to be kept in the know, right? Huh. Okay, I look forward to working with you again. So my question is, who's she working with? Is she working with the guy that Geto worked with to set up the organization? That guy? Is she working with him again? Because we haven't seen him this whole time. Is he the one she's working with? I mean, him being a broker and stuff would make sense, right? And who was drinking the other drink with her? Was it that guy? Was it somebody else? Was it Yuki? Can I crack ship Mei Mei and Yuki together too? Is that what woman is Yuki's type? I don't know. All the questions. I don't know, and I don't know what else to do about it. Meanwhile, we go back to the messed up, demented, not memories of Choso, and I love that Ketchu's like, bread. What do we do with this? And then Yuji's like, oh, hey, Nissan. What's up? What's wrong, Ni-chan? He's like, are you not feeling well? And Choso's like, oh my God, he's my brother. Because his technique allows him to track his brother. And now that he knows that Yuji's his brother, he's like, oh my God, I nearly killed my bro. Not good. All we have is each other. Why did I nearly do that? The world is asunder. I'm like, I wanted Choso this episode to explain to Yuji that they're related, but there's clearly no time, and we're going to talk about how they could be related. But I was waiting for damn Brain-kun to say something, and I'm like, give us answers, damn it. Which maybe next episode they will. That'd be really great. I would love to end the season with some concrete answers. That would be wonderful. But poor Choso, just sitting there underground, like, he basically got in the fetal position, having an existential crisis, and was like, I don't know how to handle this. And then finally he's like, I've got to go save my brother. I've got to go do something. He's the only brother I have left, so I'm going to go after him. And I love that we cut from Choso saying, what am I? What is going on? I have to save him, to Geto saying, should I save you, Mahito? I did not even think about Mahito becoming something that Geto could eat, right? I did not even think about that. I don't know why I didn't think about it. I guess because I just thought that, one, I thought Mahito would not want to be eaten by Geto. That's the main thing, which is very true. Mahito tried to kill him because he didn't want to get eaten by him. So I thought that. I was like, well, Mahito would never want to be eaten by Geto because it sounds like once you're eaten... And what's interesting is Geto eating the curses is kind of like Megumi subjugating the Shigami that he has. Like once he puts them under his control, he can call them out at will and use them. And that's kind of what Geto's doing to Mahito. He basically has swallowed Mahito, and now he can just call him out like a Pokemon and use his powers at any time he wants to. So, I mean, technically, is Mahito dead? It depends on what you describe as dead and alive. If you think that being consumed by Geto and used and having your powers used at will as death, then yeah, I think Mahito's dead. But can Mahito escape the control of Geto and Brain-kun now? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But yeah, I guess because I figured Mahito would not want to be eaten by Geto, it never crossed my mind that that was a possibility. But now that Mahito is like driven to his weakest point, it makes sense now that Geto would be like, you're about to die, but you're way too useful to let you die, so I'ma just eat you, and then we'll be done with that. So, okay, cool, bye. I should have seen it coming last episode, and I didn't. There you go. But, of course, Yuji brings up the point of okay, so let's get this on here. We have Brain-kun here, and Brain-kun, we assume, has Gojo with him. I like that Yuji has never met Geto before, but he knows that he knows that Geto has Gojo, and he's heard them say Geto, so he's like, you have Gojo. Give us Gojo Sensei back, which is so sweet. Then Yuji's like, I want our mentor back, and Geto's like, no. Brain-kun's like, people believe catfish were connected to earthquakes. What I think is so funny is that the idea of being catfished, like basically Brain-kun inhabiting Geto's body is the ultimate form of catfishing in this season, and then he brings out a catfish to go after Yuji. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's like, they were the Onumazu who moved underground. Now we see what that was from the OP. It was not a Venus flytrap. It was the catfish. I'm glad y'all didn't tell me. That makes sense. But it's just like a time loop. It's just continuously looping around and getting Yuji injured, right? And then you have the nasty centipedes along with it. Gross. And he's like, I can utilize multiple cursed spirits semi-first grade or higher. And if you analyze, even if you analyze or overcome the techniques, I can just send out new ones. So Brain-kun's like, that's why I wanted this body, because I can just keep using techniques over and over again. I have this endless supply inside of me. There's not much you can do. Again, we talk about Mahito having the transfigured humans. He can have an infinite amount of those. We talked about Toji using the worm to hide an infinite amount of weapons. And now we have Brain-kun using Geto to hide an infinite amount of curses in him. So that's exciting. And poor Mahito's just like, shit. I think Mahito saw the writing on the wall, like at that moment where he was like, crap, this guy could eat me. And that's a bad idea. And he's like, I could just pile on attacks without giving you time for that. And the crazy thing is that for a second, Mahito, he starts, Brain-kun says basically what we talked about back in the flashback, that if Geto hadn't split up between the Night Parade of 100 Demons and the schools and had just targeted one area, he would have won. But because he divided his forces, that's what caused his downfall against Yuta. Now, of course, Yuji has no freaking clue who Yuta is. He's just heard the name in passing like one time, and that's it. He doesn't know who he is. And the thing about it is that Brain-kun, he's like, man, Sukuna's vessel is tough. And for a moment, he says he's starting to sound like Geto. I wonder if Brain-kun, if he inhabits a body too long, if he starts to take on traits from that body, does that mean he will respond when Gojo comes out of the prison realm whenever that happens in 20,000 years? Who knows? I love there was a figurine shared of Gojo with all of the skeletons in the prison realm and they were all fawning over him. And I was like, oh good, he's been in the prison realm for 5 minutes and he has a fan club. Surprising no one. But yeah, of course he says Sukuna's vessel is tough. And I was waiting for him to say more because, damn it, he's connected to Yuji somehow. He's like, oh, Sukuna's vessel is tough. And that's when Mahito tried to grab him. And he dodged it. Oh, it's the one time I wanted Mahito's technique to work. The one time I wanted Mahito to actually land a hit is right then against Geto. And that would have been perfect. But nope, doesn't happen. And he's like, I knew that. I was born from you humans. And And that's when he's like sucked up by Geto. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate it. It sucks so much. And Yuji's like, what the fudge is happening? I will admit, I have only felt kind of bad for Mahito 2 times. One is when his voice actor was like screaming like, as Anime Annie described it, a child when Yuji was about to kill him last episode. And this moment here where Brain-kun is about to devour him. I'm like, I do kind of feel bad because here's the thing. Now he's just going to be a puppet used by Brain-kun, which I don't know if that's better or worse. You know, now it's just a power that he can use, which is terrifying. Nope. So Metamorphosis Part 2, huh? Fun times. He's like, this combines the absorbed cursed spirits into one, a super high density cursed energy attack to attack your opponent with. So basically he's like, I now can use this ability to attack my opponents at any time. I've caught the Pokemon. I have enough gym badges. It'll let me use him no matter what level he is. So there we are. And he's like, I just started acting like Geto. And it's like, oh my God. And he's like, we were talking about Uzumaki, weren't we? And that's the technique is Uzumaki. He's like, it was tempting to me to use. He's like, I thought I could only use it on low-level spirits, but I can use it on high-level ones too. Oh my God, terrifying. And that's when he looks up and notices Momo there. Oh, I didn't think anybody from Kyoto was coming. I thought they were going to stay out, but no. I love that Mekamaru was probably rolling in his grave like, I did all this work for you bitches to come here? Mekamaru's like, I died so you guys wouldn't join this fight, but thanks. Just couldn't let Todo go, huh? So let's talk about what's going to happen next episode. We might as well bring all that up and get that up on here. So BK has, our Burger King has Gojo with him. We got that. And also Uraume is there as well. Uraume with their ice techniques. Of course they have ice techniques. Of course they do. Because if Sukuna has fire, why, it would make sense for Uraume to have ice, wouldn't it? Of course it would. Of course it would. So meanwhile, we have over here, Urahime is doing some kind of preparation for something. We don't know what yet. But we're assuming that Todo and Miwa over here. Thank God Miwa didn't die. If she died this episode, I was gonna be so pissed. I was gonna be like, no, we've lost too many Gege. You can cut it down right now. Don't you dare take Miwa away from us. So Todo and Miwa and Mei are over there. Kamo is here with Momo. And we have Yuji. And we have Todo or Choso. And we'll put Panda over here as well. And Kusakabe is down there with Urahime. Okay. Kusakabe. And meanwhile, our MIA people that we don't know where they're at are Arata, Maki, Naobito. Mainly those guys. We don't know where they are. We know that Mei Mei and Ui are going to go visit the shrine for Nanami in Malaysia. I guess. Why not? If we see Mei Mei on the beach, like with Ui, and like she throws Nanami's ashes into the ocean, I will cry. So hopefully we don't see that. But yeah, so they all go after. I love that Mei. I like the idea that Geto/Brain-kun says that that's very handy to fight a Jujutsu sorcerer with just a sniper rifle. It's kind of like at this point, it's going to be a gun that you need. I'm watching another series right now called Psychopaths, which is amazing. And in that series, one of the antagonists you can't fight with like the weapon of choice in the series. You'd have to use like a gun or something. So this is kind of, that was reminding me of that in that instance. Right? But, and he's like a sniper rifle. So then, yeah. And then we have the idea of what, I love this little monologue by Miwa. I was assuming it was Miwa back when she started talking. But she's like, I was captain of the youth basketball team. I'm like, what position did Miwa play in the youth basketball team? I don't think she was a center. Was she a point guard? Shooting guard? Small forward? And she says, I remember my mother would dye my hair black. So it is good to notice that Miwa's hair has always been blue. Then her mom tried to dye it black, which, okay. And in middle school, I met my mentor, and I chose to become a Jujutsu sorcerer. We don't know who that mentor was. Maybe it was Urahime? Maybe? Before even holding a wooden bamboo sword in my hand, let alone a real sword. Maybe it was Kusakabe was her mentor. Maybe. because we're talking about sword usage. And then I swung my sword relentlessly because I didn't want to be a burden on my mother. And I like that we just see all these pictures of Shibuya. And then she's like, I swing my sword relentlessly. I love just building up that time and time and time again because I didn't want to die. Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm just like, I feel like Kusakabe was Miwa's mentor. Maybe we'll find that out. I love Miwa trying to be badass in this moment. She was just like, even if it means I'll never swing a sword again. Like, girl was pissed. She was ready to go after losing Mekamaru. But then, of course, he does this bitch move and brings out Mahito and his ability to face her. Thank God. Thank God Kusakabe stepped in the way. But my thing was, when we saw the flash of white and the sword, I thought it was Yuta. I thought Yuta had shown up, and I was like, oh, Yuta's here. And then I was it's like when you expect something really amazing, and then you're like, oh, no, wait, it's just Kusakabe. I mean, I'm glad Kusakabe showed up and was badass and saved Miwa. Glad for that. That's really nice, but I was really expecting Yuta and was kind of not let down, just like, oh, okay, never mind. And then Urahime is there. Cool. And then Panda and Kamo show up. I find it very ironic that Kamo shows up when he may be related to all of them. Great. My heart, though, when Yuji was just like, Panda, it's you. And like the light was back in his eyes. Thank goodness. I'm glad that Yuji, I'm glad, like Panda said, you're back. And it's like, oh, what did he say there? And the Kyoto students. And he's like, I'm in gorilla mode. Glad you're back to normal. And so then Kamo's like, hey, let's not forget that guy has Gojo. And like, I don't know what he finds so much fun about walking around with that public nuisance. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yes, that's not, he's like, he's wearing, that shell is Suguru Geto. I like that Panda instantly knows that it's not Geto, it's somebody using his body. Like, that's really important to know moving forward, that this isn't Geto committing these crimes, it's somebody else, and they figure out who it is by the end of this, right? So then Choso shows up. I love Choso. Give me more of him. And Brain Coon's like, oh, hi, Choso. How's it going? Glad you're here. And then Yuji's like, well, he tried to kill me. We're not strangers. He tried to kill me before. But I love that Choso's like, we're not allies. You're my brother. And then he says, I have 3 parents. My mother, who is her, right? Okay, so let's get this theory time. All right. We have Choso. He has a mom. He says he has 3 parents. He has a mom who was the woman that was able to give birth to the cursed spirit. Then it says the cursed spirit that impregnated my mother. Okay, so there's a mother who's human. And then we have the father who is a cursed spirit. Okay. We don't know what that is, if we'll ever find out. And then the man who mixed his blood into the affair. Okay, so then the man who tampered with the blood, who did the blood mixing and has the curse technique involving the blood. That's rather important because that's what lets us all come into be. And then, of course, he has Brain Coon. He's been attached by Brain Coon. So here's the thing. The question is, was the Kaminato man, it's like a chicken and egg question, was the Kaminato man the original, is Brain Coon the Kaminato man, or was the Kaminato man with the technique inhabited by Brain Coon? Like chicken or the egg? I would like to think that Brain Coon took the body of the Kaminato man over and used his blood technique because he thought the whole curse painting thing was interesting and he wanted to dabble in that for a while. But we don't know yet. We don't know the full story. That's why it's so frustrating, this episode, because Gege gives us like a 75% truth, 75% of the story, but we're missing a lot. And the one who toyed with my mother Yes, the guy that experimented with the mom, who experimented with his mother. Okay. And that's when that's Brain-kun, the loathsome. And he's like, oh, you figured it out. And he's like, so that's how it is. He's like, Kamo Noritoshi. And I like that everybody's like, Kamo? What? And they're like, Noritoshi? And that's his name! Oh, you poor child, why are you named after him? He's like, me? Girl, Mrs. Kamo, why are you naming your kid after like one of the most infamous sorcerers? Why would you do that? No. Unless it's like a passed down name like Kamo Noritoshi the 20th or something. So, Kamo Noritoshi. Okay. But that was back then, right? And they've just been in stasis this whole time. And he's like, me? And they're like, what is going on? I like Miwa's expression is like, what? The stain on the Kamo clan. The worst sorcerer in all of history. If he's right, then whatever's inside of Geto would be over 150 years old. I'm glad they figured out pretty quickly. So we're thinking Brain-kun is at least 150 years old. At least. And he's like, well, this outlandish barrier and possession of outlandish curse tools and a mastermind with a curse technique to take over others' bodies. Okay, so Noritoshi can take over other bodies. So maybe Brain-kun is actually Noritoshi, and it's just what he did after he died. He just made himself into this cursed spirit that went around possessing people. We don't know yet. It seems appropriate, but they all pretty much are under the assumption. He's like, Kamo Noritoshi is one of many names I've had. I'm still going to call him Brain-kun, but we know Brain-kun's over 150 years old and is a problem. And he's like, call me whatever you like. And Choso's like, well, how dare you? How dare you make me try and kill Itadori? Oh my god! He's like, you made me try to kill my brother! My little brother! Oh! And that's when Uraume shows up, which is terrifying. And Uraume is like, no, stand down, third rate. Don't keep me waiting any longer. Oh my god. And Uraume is clearly just here for Sukuna, right? Can we establish that? Uraume does not care about anybody. Uraume has, in my opinion, this unrequited love for their bestie, Sukuna. They would really like everyone else to die and for them and Sukuna to run off together and like go to the Olive Garden or something like that. But everybody keeps getting in the way, and so Uraume is kind of pissed about it. I love the fire and ice symbolism. I love it. It's great. But yeah. And so then we know that Choso sensed when his brother died. And then he's like, I sensed the death of Yuji Itadori right before my eyes. And that's why he was freaking out. Because he's like, oh my god, my brother died. No. If Kamo Noritoshi has been extending his life by transferring bodies, then it's not an impossible idea. So he's like, but how? Because yeah, he's like, we have to be blood-related younger brothers. So by that logic, the question is, okay, so Brain-kun, if he's Kamo Noritoshi, then he's, because what we don't know is when did he transfer. We know he transferred into Geto's body a year ago. We have no clue what he was doing before a year ago. Where has he been the rest of the time? Has he been in Kamo Noritoshi's body this entire time? Has he been switching to other people's bodies and just taking Kamo's technique with him? I don't think that's the case, because he would then have the blood manipulation technique right now as Geto. So I think we know Kamo Noritoshi went missing along with the mom. So the question is, did Kamo... But this is the missing link that's the weird part, right? So Yuji, as far as we know, was born. He wasn't a curse painting, as far as we know, right? So there's some options. I'm like, wait, what are options here? So there's some options. Either Yuji was born naturally. Okay? He was born naturally, or he was a curse painting that was given to like a baby. Sort of like how Choso and the others were given to full-blown humans. I think either one could happen. Either Yuji was born naturally, or he was like a little curse painting fetus that was put inside a baby, became Yuji, and has just grown up naturally over time. That seems weird though, but I don't know. It could be possible. So the thing that sucks is the grandpa. The grandpa's the missing link. Like, what did the grandpa know? What did the grandpa not know? Did the grandpa know anything? Or did he just get dropped baby Yuji on his doorstep and was like, he doesn't have any parents, I don't know what's happening. So either way, Brain-kun is involved. What we don't know is Yuji's parents. This is the big mystery that I would like Gege to answer before the end of the season, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Gege is going to answer that question to us as to who Yuji's parents are before the end of the season. I think it's going to be teased, and then I think they're going to make me wait 2 years to find out. But I don't know. I want to know. We've been hinting at it this whole time, and now we finally get enough answers. So we know that Brain-kun was involved with Yuji's existence somehow. He's known about Yuji this whole time. He's known that Yuji is going to be the vessel for Sukuna. He might have even planned for Yuji to be the vessel of Sukuna. I need to know these answers. Gege. But yeah, so somehow Brain-kun is involved in Yuji's conception or birth or childhood, something. But I'm like, who is Yuji's mom? Who is Yuji's dad? Okay, hear me out. What if Brain-kun, because we know that Kaminato, that the whole blood technique has to get mixed for it to work, and he's been experimenting with the mom, and Brain-kun can transfer bodies. Like, I don't know, what if Brain-kun became like the father of Yuji? What if that happened? What if, I mean, could Brain-kun have gotten into, because here's the thing, the mom, he was experimenting with the mom when Choso and Ketchizu and Eso were born, right? He was experimenting with her and toying around with her, but he kept his own body. What if he took her body and was like, I'm going to mix my technique with her, and then that will allow, and then like, but the question is, who's the dad? Is the dad a curse spirit? How does that work? I'm like, could Brain-kun have inhabited like the mom of Yuji? But that would mean that Brain-kun gave birth to Yuji, and that's weird. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think that's right. That's weird. Because he'd be like, I gave birth to you and it sucked. I don't think that's right. No. It is very possible that he experimented on the mom and a curse spirit, and Yuji was like a little... Okay, I think at this point, because Brain-kun being the mom of Yuji is weird, and I don't think that he gave birth to Yuji. That'd be so messed up. That'd be weird. No. I think at this point that I think Kaminato was experimenting one more time after all those curse paintings. Yuji's the youngest. I think he was experimenting, and he had one more little curse painting that he created after he left, and after the other curse paintings were taken up by the Jujutsu sorcerers and put into storage. I think that he made one more, and then he took that cursed womb fetus or whatever, fed it to a baby that was baby Yuji, and then he grew up with the grandpa, had all this natural ability, all this stuff like that, and then he was waiting to use Yuji later on, and Yuji's this big experiment that's like been a big success. Now, whether Brain-kun was intending to use Yuji as a vessel from Sukuna from the start, and Urume was like, yes, let's do this, I don't know. And maybe they designed Yuji to be the perfect vessel for Sukuna. They're like, we made this cursed baby that would be able to house Sukuna when the time was right and would be resistant to the poison of the fingers. And Urume was like, yes, all on board with this. Bring back my homie. Let's go. I don't know, but I really wish we'd find out. I'm just afraid we're not going to find out before the end of the season. And then I'll just have to wait and scream in patience. I don't know. But I really like the idea of Choso, and Kamo immediately knows that Choso has blood manipulation techniques, so that's fun. He's going to be able to figure all that out and talk about it. I like that Choso can somewhat stand his ground against Urume, but Urume is tough. And Urume is for being Sukuna. Urume is not Sukuna's bestie for no reason. Like, Urume, I don't know if it's a man or woman, can take care of themselves. Although I do love the battle between Choso and Geto. It's really, really good. I love the choreography of it. I love Choso. The moment when Choso like did the hands behind their back to fire at Geto, that was really cool. I love basically they have a blood laser beam. It's fun, and Choso is animated really well. But damn it. If Geto hadn't used that freaking rainbow manta ray to get off, then we could have solved this a long time ago. But I also like that the one curse he sends towards Choso looks like the wump wump or the thump thump that's used in Mario Brothers to like smash things. Whatever. And then, yeah, him fighting Choso. If it was just Geto by himself, he wouldn't stand a chance. But because he has all the curses, Choso's kind of outnumbered. And I just love Choso using the laser beams. I don't want Choso to die. I don't think that they will, because I think Gege 1 has things to tell us about Yuji's past, and Choso is the vehicle to get those answers. And I think, 2, like I said last episode, Choso is going to be that third party that Yuji runs off with by the end of the season. I think so. I think Yuji's going to run off with Choso by the end to be like, let's figure out what's going on with Brain-kun and what their plans are. I don't know. But him saying, is there any reason not to risk my life for the younger brother right in front of me? I'm like, Choso is like so dedicated. He just wants to save Yuji's life because he's their brothers. He's so dedicated to the concept of his family. It's like, which is going to be really freaking messed up if it turns out that Brain-kun is like related to them all. What is this dysfunction? What is this? What is happening? I love it because usually in stories, the brothers in series are like against each other, like Attack on Titan, like Naruto. The brothers are like they're enemies, but here they've suddenly become, they say they're not allies, but I'm like, come on now. And Geto, Brain-kun's just laughing. And I like that Panda's like, aren't you guys just strangers? And Yuji's like, worse, he nearly tried to kill me. He's tried to kill me once already. And then I like that Panda's like, well, first it was Todo trying to kill you, and now it's Choso. He's like, are you sure you're not emitting any pheromones? I was like, Tommy, now is not the time to make this Omegaverse. You had your chance. It's over. Oh my god. But yeah, that's so interesting that 2 people now call him like brothers that once tried to hurt him, right? I do like the idea of Panda and Kamo and Yuji all teaming up. I kind of loved this idea. This was really sweet. It was a nice team up. I liked the 3 of them. But Urume was just like, screw this. I'm tired of this ice formation. A high level ice technique. Yep. But of course, now, Geto says, don't kill them. I need messengers. And I like that Urume's like, is that a reason to leave them all alive? And I like that the hole that is through Urume's hand from Choso like instantly heals up. That's a problem. They can instantly regenerate. That's a real big problem. Nope. So why does he need so many messengers? What's the point? Why does he need them all? But of course, Yuji's not held back by the ice because of Sukuna, right? And then I like that Urume he's like, oh, well, this technique is nothing. And Urume is like, well, how much is? I like in this shot when Yuji, like, jumps to save Choso from the ice. If you pause it, like, Yuji's got some abs. I'm just saying, Yuji had some abs in that shot, right? Also, the concept of Yuji saving Choso, I'm living. I want to see so much of Yuji and Choso together now. It's over. I need this in my life. He's like, it has to have Sukuna. And he's like, are you our ally? And Choso's like, no! And Yuji's like, what the fudge? What? Just say yes. Choso, when they ask you if you're an ally, you say yes. But Choso's like, no, I'm a neutral party. However, I'm your older brother. He's like, and Yuji doesn't believe him. He's like, take this seriously. And he's like, start trying to say it for once. Call me Oni-san. Call me Oni-chan. And he's like, what in the world? I think because Yuji's been around Todo so much, and Todo's done the whole, you're my brother, that he's like, you too? You're another crazy person who thinks you're my brother? But he doesn't realize Choso is being very literal about the whole brother business, which is why I am waiting for Brain-kun to confirm this all and give us answers. And he is choosing not to, and it is very annoying. But anyway, then I like that Momo has tool manipulation. Her broomstick is literally a weapon. That's funny. I also love Momo saying shit. That was just like a really nice moment as well. And so then I like that Urume's like, are you sure that Yuji's not the only messenger that you need? Can I kill everyone else? Uraume is very fascinating to me. I want more with them. This lost Todoroki family member. And Urume's like, can I just kill everybody except for Yuji and be done with it? And that's when frickin' Yuki shows up. Oh my god. I should have bought a damn blonde wig. But I didn't because I hate blonde wigs. But I would be Uraume. I would be Yuki in a second. Girl, you get that ass shot with this weird, like, there's a Pokemon that looks like the skeletal, like, thing that she has flying around her. I don't know if that little skeletal bonefish is her curse technique or if it's like Toji's worm where it's just a curse that she's manipulated and is using. I don't know. But she's like, oh, hey, Geto-kun. Girl, what a badass. You didn't answer my question. What's your favorite type of woman? I love her. What kind of woman is your type? And then I love it. He's like, Yuki Tsukumo. I want to know what this bonefish is. It looks like, there's a Pokemon that is a bonefish. What is it? I'm going to find out really quick. It looks a lot like, what is it? I'm trying to figure out. It's like the evolve. It's like not Phoebos. Oh my god. Which one looks like a fish Pokemon? I need to know the thing. I need to know this. It's not Electros. It's not Sharpedo. It kind of is Sharpedo. It's like Barboach maybe. If Barboach and Sharpedo and Phoebos got together, then maybe that's it. Yeah, it looks like a Pokemon and I kind of am all about it. Y'all, this episode was amazing. And I've talked for almost an hour about it. I'm so happy that Choso's here. I'm so happy we get confirmation that Yuji is somehow his brother. I don't know how. Next episode is the last episode of the season, right? And I'm very sad about that because then we're going to have to wait a very long time for season 3, right? But all I want next episode are a few things. I just need a few things to tide me over at the end of season 3. And I'm probably going to talk again about this next week, but I need confirmation of what Yuta is going to do. I think the higher ups are going to be like, Yuta, we need you to kill Yuji. And he's going to be like, okay, will do. And then because he doesn't know Yuji, he doesn't know any different. And that's the thing. I want confirmation about how Choso and Yuji are siblings. How does this work? Are we going to find out? I don't know. I also want them to end up together by the end of the season. I think Yuji's going to run off and meet up with Choso at the end of the season and they're going to go on a quest to find answers. I could be wrong. I don't know. And I want a preview of Gojo. How's he doing in the box? Is he doing okay? And then I just want to know, like, what is Brain-kun's objective? And is Naobito and Maki alive? I think they're alive, but I want to know. We got a lot of ground to cover next episode, and I don't know if we're going to do it. I feel like Yuki showing up is going to be Brain-kun's sign that I need to go. Because Yuki's one of those characters we've not seen her the entire time. She's been hinted at, and she's the one that gave Todo inspiration. So I feel like just like Todo came through to help Yuji win against Mahito, I feel like Yuki is going to be the adult version of that against Brain-kun, and Brain-kun's going to be like, shit, whatever her technique is, I don't want to fight it right now, so I'm going to leave. And then I feel like that's going to be Brain-kun's cue to go. But I want them to find out how they're related. If y'all can do me anything, I know I'm sitting here wanting answers, but please don't give me the answers. I can be patient. I can wait years to find out. I just, it's going to suck, but I can do it. I did it last season. So I just don't want any answers in the comments down below, but I am curious to know your thoughts about all this. Mods, I pity you. I pity the mods so much already. I'm so sorry. I'm feeling so sorry for y'all. You you all know how it goes, but in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, happy holidays. Happy New Year. And I'll see you all with the season finale of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 next week. Take care, y'all. Bye.